Good morning. This is Kathy for Getting Chatty with Kathy, and I want to thank you for joining the show today. I have a wonderful guest that I think is a very good example of how we can help our community. I have Barb Ryan here on the show today. Hi, Barb. How's it going?
Hi there. Just fine, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining the show. I have heard wonderful things about what you're doing around town, and I thought maybe it would be good to share your story as an inspiration.
Well, that's nice of you to say. It's an honor.
Aw. So, for those of you out there that haven't met Barb, she is very much involved with helping people settle in Regina. I'm assuming just Regina area, but I could be wrong. And I just thought maybe she could elaborate on how she got involved in doing that.
Okay, well, first of all, about 17 years ago, my husband passed away. My kids were all grown up and left, so I wanted something else in my life. I joined the Regina Progress Club, and they worked with Open Door with newcomers. They had a reception center that they had helped fund, and I got interested in that way. I approached Open Door, and they have a program for acting as a host, which I recommend to a lot of people. If anybody's lonely or just wants to contribute something, it's a great program. You act as a host. You welcome a new family. You show them around Regina. Maybe at first help them to doctor's appointments, help them get furniture for their houses, clothes for their kids, take them around. Yeah, cell phones, everything. And I started out with a family from Somalia. They were great, taught them some English, got them some furniture, went and visited them regularly. It started out it was a big family, and I ended up seeing 3 babies born in that group. They had me in the delivery room with them, so I thought that was a huge honor. Yeah, and they were doing fine. They had jobs, they had vehicles, they were doing fine. So then I got another family from Congo, and that was really a blessing for me. Like, it was three little kids and mom and dad. They'd lived for 10 years in a refugee camp in Congo in a straw hut. So everything was new and exciting to them here, and it was so much fun to show them around, show them what we had, show them a drive-through.
I just got goosebumps thinking about it.
A drive-through restaurant, grocery store, everything was new and exciting to them, and to see it through their eyes for the first time was really great. And
what about winter?
Yeah, they always, everybody who comes has a real hard time with winter, but they always have to admit it's better than a war zone.
Exactly.
Better than a refugee camp. So we just dress them up warm and send them out in the elements, and they're okay. And our summers are glorious here, and they love Wascana Park. They love to get out. They go to the surrounding lakes when they're able, and they like fishing and swimming and just hanging out together at various parks. So it's fun to watch them have fun. But yeah, those first African families were really dear to me, and I still keep in touch with them. I was just chatting with someone this morning before I came. And after that, I got involved with the Syrian community. They had a Syrian family that had just arrived and needed some help. So I really enjoyed them. I went to their house. I live in the Northwest. They live in the South. I went there every single day for 5 years. Even if it was 9:30 at night, they stay up late and have tea. So I would go over there every day. And there was always a little issue, whether it was a notice that a package had been delivered and they didn't know
what was going
on, or a doctor's appointment, or an interview with a teacher, or a report card to sign. They were really mystified by a lot of things, and I helped them out with that, and it was my joy. I loved doing that. I still see them all the time too, talk to them all the time. And after that, I kind of got to know a lot of their families. Like, the family gradually immigrated here too, so I got to know all of them, and I just got to know a lot of people through that. So I really don't work through Open Door as directly as I once did, because I've sort of made my own little little network. Yeah, but I'm actually now that I'm with the Syrian community, there's a young man in Lebanon, and Lebanon is right next to the war zone in Israel, and I have been in touch with him several times a day for a few years now, and his mom had died, and he needed a mom type, and that's my specialty. So I'm sponsoring him to come here. If anybody from immigration is listening, please hurry up.
Yeah, I cannot imagine waiting for
now
that.
They're saying like 32 months or something terrible. When you're living in hell, it's kind of
well, and they're only letting 1,000 people from there in or something.
I'm not sure.
The numbers were enough, I figured, if I was waiting to come here.
Yeah, it's so hard, and In Lebanon right now, they have their inflation rate, I believe, is 112%. So we
Oh
complain when
my
ours is 3 or
gosh.
4, but they're 112. Like, it's just, they are throwing their money in the street and walking on it. It's just worthless now. So
Their whole lives.
yeah, yeah, everything is so expensive there, and they don't make any money.
Oh.
And the refugees that live in Lebanon from Syria, they won't allow them to work there. So what do? Like, you get $30 a person per month for your allowance from United Nations, and
That's where crime starts.
oh yeah, you can
can't
see why
help
it
it.
does. Yeah, but they're. I mean, some of them are living. Some of the people I know are living in tents, and it rained like crazy last week, so they're living in flooded tents, and
Oh, and that's how
it's-
you get sick then, because
Yeah.
it breeds bacteria,
and
I'm
the
sure.
sewage and stuff, and yeah. So I can't. I don't know. There's no end to the people that I could help, and I take on a lot because I always think. Sometimes I think, why did I do this? Like, why did I tell them maybe I can help? And then I think, what if with a little effort? What if I could? Like, what if I could make a difference? So
And you are, it sounds like. And
I'm trying.
my thought is like people that live in, okay, I was lucky. I worked for the U of R and I recruited internationally for like a decade. And the U of R recruited to places not just like wonderful Germany and
Yeah.
like stuff like that. We would go to like, we went to India. We went to really close to Pakistan. We were in Nigeria. So we were in places where we could see, and I was blessed to see different ways of life.
Oh yeah, it's shocking.
It's shocking. So then when I come here, I'm like, you guys, we have such an incredible city. This place
do.
is just born to be like a magnificent place for anybody that wants to put some work into
We
their
won the
lives.
life lottery.
We really did.
Yeah, and some of these poor souls just want to come so badly. And like the fellow that I'm trying to bring over, I've sponsored him. We're just waiting for our dream to come true. I think it's been over a year, and I actually tried to bring him as a student, but they wouldn't let him come because they said he wouldn't return to Lebanon, and who would?
But they do that with so many other
know.
places. How can they determine that?
I know. He
come
checked out
on.
fine with all his security and everything was fine. And then I hired a lawyer, and she worked hard, and still no. So
That's
I
not
don't.
fair.
I don't really understand that the U of R wants more students, and international students pull in some good money for them. But
Oh my goodness, it's 3 times the tuition.
yeah, I know. I was even willing to do that for him, but no. So then I had to sponsor him. So you wait for a spot through a church. They're the ones with the spots,
Oh.
and they told me last time there was 1,000 people waiting for 60 spots every year. So that's how hard it is just to get a spot. We did get lucky and got a spot for this guy a little sooner, but yeah, you have to put a little bit of money up front and.
He's lucky he has a community. You know, it really is about like bridging that and bringing the people to Regina. It makes Regina better every single time because it brings
Truly
such
does.
a richness to our culture.
It truly does. Sometimes I was in the bank the other day, and just for fun, I was counting. Like I was truly the only white one in the bank. And there was 15 people came and went, and everyone was from a different country. And I thought that was great. Like I just sat there and thought, wow, good on you, Canada. Like we're giving these people a new life, and it's wonderful.
And who are we to keep it from anybody else,
Yeah,
right?
I know. So now my latest project, once I get this guy here, before I get him here.
I
now-
love that you have another project.
Oh my goodness, I always have an idea.
So are
but-
your wheels always?
Yeah, they are actually. Always going to bat for these guys. But there's a family, they're relatives of a family that's already here. They're a mom, a dad, and four kids, 2 teenagers and twins that are 9 years old. And they are such a sweet family. I've got to know them quite well and text them, FaceTime them almost every day. And their life is pretty tough. They lived in a refugee camp, then they moved to an apartment. But they cut off their power the other day
Where's this in?
in Lebanon.
In Lebanon.
Yeah, they're
Jeez.
Syrians in Lebanon. And again, they can't work. So there's such a limited income for them. And anyway, there's some programs, like the sponsorship program takes too long. To get 6 people over here would take me for years, 5 years probably. There are some programs through the provincial government and through the federal government that are quite good. SINP is Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program, and there's a new one called the Economic Mobility Pathway. And if I can get a job for this guy,
Does it have to be full-time and permanent?
it does. It does. But if I can get a job for him, and he is trained as a lab tech, phlebotomist.
Jeez, I think we need some lab techs here.
Well, I hope so. But I think he's willing. He said he's willing to clean every toilet in Saskatchewan just to come. So I think he's pretty desperate.
Motivated.
He's willing to do just about anything. And I love his idea of community spirit, like because he did take blood and analyze blood and report to the doctors the results. He's pretty wise, but he has a community idea. He wants to work and get some volunteers to give blood, give to the stem cell. He writes out little reports and sends to me what he's thinking we could do. And truthfully, a lot of the things have already been done here, but he's really good at that. He just wants to be part of the community. A Syrian lady told me once that feeling part of our community is as important as food to them.
Our culture before international people came here, I feel, was very segregated.
Yeah.
And the family unit's so different. I spent a year in Korea. So when I went there, I had somebody like, you help me. So when you're talking about, I had somebody come to the bank with me. Like, things like this are very complicated.
You don't realize it. And then other language on top of it all. Actually, it's a small example, but when my son was playing in the NFL and he moved to Green Bay and he didn't really know anybody there, and the family kind of adopted him. It was an older couple that were huge Packers fans, and they had their old mother, one of their old mothers lived with them too, and they kind of adopted John and took him, like if it was Thanksgiving, they'd invite him over, Christmas, his birthday.
Important.
And I realized then how much I appreciated that, and maybe I'm paying it back yet to those fine people, but that's kind of
It takes a community to grow people.
It does. I actually have talked to Sandra Masters about different ideas I have for. I haven't implemented them yet, but she was a big help to me, and she's very interested in that type of thing too. And we got started on some ideas because some people had come from Afghanistan and they weren't very happy. They were in a hotel. I think it was because of COVID. They were locked in a hotel and it just wasn't a good situation, and I had wanted to bring them over to my place to have an evening to get to talk to each other, but it wasn't kind of allowed through Open Door. There was transportation issues, and so anyway, I'm going to get back with Sandra again and see if we couldn't do more, because there's a lot of refugees that do leave Regina for a bigger city, and I think Regina has a lot to offer, and I think it's better off here. The cost of living's lower.
Yes.
Transportation, you don't have to sit on a bus or a train for 3 hours a day getting to and from work.
You can be a big fish in a small pond. It's
a perfect place to start, and they don't always realize that, and I find sometimes they move away and regret it.
I agree. And it was interesting with my time with the URI, which is the University's International Office, I found that people actually came from big cities here after a while too, because they were just totally wanting a family environment. And you kind of have to immerse yourself more into the community here.
Well, some of them too, I think, are like in Syria. There's Damascus, some pretty big ancient cities there that are so beautiful and so large, but it's different. Like they don't have freeways in the like big cities here, and I think they go to Toronto or something and they realize, whoa, it's not what I thought it was. Concrete city, and you're living in a basement suite for $3,000 a month instead of $1,000 here, and and the community here is small enough that I think we're pretty welcoming and helpful to them. And maybe in a bigger center it doesn't feel the same, but I hope more and more will stay, because Regina does have a lot to offer.
I do think they're going to stay, and I think Sandra's plan for a lot of the growth that she wants to see in the city, I'm hoping finally happens and we start to see some positive news for our city, because we need it.
Well, they need a gathering place too, a place where they can get together and
community center,
and with some locals too. Yeah, community center, and maybe they would cook for us, or maybe we can cook for them. We can, it's kind of could be quite fun.
Idea.
Yeah, it could be fun. They had a lot of them came with great cooking skills.
I imagine
the moms are always wonderful cooks, but there's some dads. One guy came he was a baker, makes beautiful. One guy he made some of the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. It was like a roll, like a cinnamon roll with pistachios inside and rolled up and sliced. Oh, they have wonderful treats. So I sometimes dream about starting a restaurant with them. I don't know if it'll ever work out, but I would love to.
The
have
tapestry of food.
Yes. Yeah, and at nighttime they could stay open and people could sit around and play cards and visit. And a lot of Regina does shut down awfully early, and they're kind of night hawks. They like to stay out.
Yes, I found in my travels, like, dinner would never, ever be before, like, 7 or 8. You
Yeah.
know, like you're going out, and it's going to be 4 hours. Like, this
yeah,
isn't
they
just like
enjoy-
gobble gobble.
Yeah.
We're going to socialize. We'll have coffee,
Yeah.
maybe some like shisha or whatever it is.
Visit,
But
yeah.
it just, and it creates an environment. And
Mhm.
I was lucky when I was in India, I spent a lot of time in Punjab, which is like the upper area of India, lots of Sikh communities there. So we were seeing lots of Sikh people in Regina, and it brings me joy because when I was there for so long, they actually would have me come to their home to cook with the
Oh.
moms.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that'd
pressure
be
cookers
great.
with the pots and all the
they
different
use those, they scare the
spices.
daylights out of me, those things, but I guess they use them all the time.
It was something else. And I come home and I try to make like some of the stuff that I learned, but it's never as good. And you just throw this and this and this and there. I'm like, that doesn't mean, what is that, a teaspoon, a tablespoon? You just know. Know.
At one time I was quite involved with U of R. Like, there's a program called WUSC, World University Services Canada. It's a great program. They raise money and then they bring kids to Canada that are from underprivileged countries, and I was quite involved with them for a while. Maybe not so much, although I still see a lot of them, the kids that I worked with. They've all graduated and got good jobs now. And they stayed. Most of them stayed. Some of them went away, but yeah, I really enjoy that involvement with some of these younger kids, and they come over to my place once in a while and we have an evening together, and it's grown, and now there's some from Africa and some from China and different places, and Syria, and yeah. So we used to just I'd cook for them, or we'd just have an evening together, and I said the next time, which is soon, I hope, we're going to each bring a dish from our own country. And
I want to come.
Okay.
I'll make pierogies.
Okay.
Barb, so tell me about what's your goals going forward in the future.
Well, first of all, I'm really anxious to get my young guy over here from, I call him my son, over here from Lebanon. He's the nurse, and hopefully I can get him here, get him into university or SAS Polytechnic, and get his education on the go, and get him working at a part-time job, and everything should be good.
And they just changed the rules with that, I believe. Like, before you had to like only work on campus, but now I think you can work at any business, which is nice because like lots of businesses need employment.
Yeah, no, that would be that'd be good. But he just loves to be a nurse. His mom died when he was 12, and so he kind of promised her that that's what he would do. So I think he's pretty, and he loves it. Like, every day when he goes to school, he comes home and tells me what he learned, and we discuss it, and sometimes I Google things for him, and we kind of
How did you guys get connected?
I know his cousin. His cousin was a Syrian refugee that came here, and he's done very well here. And just got to know him through another Syrian family, and then I guess this other guy became a Canadian citizen, and I put something on Facebook about congratulating him. I said that Canada's better because you came, or something like that.
Lovely.
And his cousin, who is my Ibrahim, sent me a friend request, and I don't usually just accept any old friend. I just had a feeling. I have a good gut feeling about things sometimes. So, yeah.
You followed your intuition.
Followed my tuition, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, yeah, he's a really important part of my life, and I think I am for him too. And then, the other thing I'd like to get going is a job for this Mezyad and his family. You can this economic mobility pathway. You can get a job offer, and that opens up everything. Once you get the job offer, then he can. There's even an organization, I think it's called LIFT. There's several organizations, and they even do the paperwork for the employer. So for a nominal fee, like a couple $100, it's not much, and that would be a really great goal for me, because this family's living like no heat, and it is 0 degrees there, or -5 sometimes. But that means it's -5 inside your house, and the landlord cut off the power, and so they have a little stove that they ration the diesel fuel for, and sitting under blankets and using candles, and
it's crazy to think we're here doing our thing, and then that's what's going on somewhere else.
I know, but the sad thing is, like I say, if it's 0 outside, it's 0 inside your house too. They're concrete houses, and they're just freezing. So
if somebody has maybe the need for somebody like Abraham, or could they reach out to you?
Mezyad mostly, yes, they could reach out to me, sure, and. It would be great if he could be like a phlebotomist, say at Life Labs or a lab like that, but he might only qualify as a lab assistant. There's some difficulty there in matching up the skills, like what you learn there and what you learn here is maybe different.
Credentials.
So we got to the point where he said he'd work in a restaurant, he'd do dishes, he would do cleaning, he'll do anything. And he's kind of the whole package, because he comes with a wife who's willing to work too, and he's got 2 teenage kids that could work when they're not in school. So And they're just great, a great family. The little kids, the twins that are 9, are so cute. The little girl wants to be an astronaut.
That's amazing.
It's
But
pretty
she
cute.
could be, you know, I
In
feel like
Canada, she could be.
I
But
feel like she
there,
could, yeah.
there, no. But here, anything. I always tell them anything's possible in Canada if you work hard enough and try hard enough. Things will happen for you. So, I have hope that they can come. They can live with me for a while. I have the same big house I had when I raised all my kids. So I knew there was a reason why I kept it. So I've got a few people. I've had different people living with me over time, and it's always been great, But yeah, house is full of good cooking smells sometimes and good people, and I love that.
And you're making a big difference.
I hope so. I don't know. I always tell people it's selfish because it makes me feel so good.
I that's what true volunteerism is, though. It's a
I
win-win
guess
for
so.
everybody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it is. And so right now my garage is full of extra furniture. I have a bucket of snowsuits, and I have some other clothes that I have to pick up. And
What do you find people generally need that we don't often give?
well, there's always furniture, and it's kind of magical. Like someone will say to me, "I need a sofa, Mom," and I'll then somebody will phone me and say, "I just got a new sofa. Could you?" It's almost like I don't know.
The
what.
energy's out
It's in
there.
the stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I helped one family. An African mom was coming here with 5 kids, no English, no money, 5 kids, and I just was so thinking about her so much. And I got the key to her house before she even came, and through all my friends, mostly with my Progress Club friends, we furnished the whole house. Every bed was made. There was clothes in every kid's closet. There was a bucket of mitts and a bucket of
What a dream.
scarves and winter jackets. And one friend stocked the fridge, one stocked a freezer. There was dishes, everything was there for her. She just, in Africa, the word for grandma is tete, and she would twirl around the room and she'd point at everything, go tete, 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 like. But I mean, it really wasn't me at all, really, except that I was the
Organizer.
yeah.
You're the orchestrator of this
the
wonderfulness.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. So they came and they were all set up, and that brought me a lot of joy. I was a homemaker, so making home is my specialty, so I liked it.
You know what? The help of many hands can create like so many different things, and if it just takes somebody to motivate that group,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
thank you
does.
for being that person. That's
Oh,
the
well.
hub.
I'm always looking for jobs for people, and I think I found quite a few for them. I have friends that have businesses, and they've helped out a lot. They trust my judgment, and I send them good people, and they're happy with them, and sometimes their kids end up going to work too for them. So it's a great
Doesn't
thing.
surprise me. I find like when I was working in URI again, I mostly hired student assistants for our office to do work, and the international students had just a different mentality towards working
Yeah.
than I found like my Canadian, and I'm a Canadian like girl, like, and I get it, like,
Yeah.
but I did work at Dairy Queen when
Me
I was.
too.
Yeah, did you?
That's where I met my husband. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And I also worked at Walmart. So, like, like, I
Yeah.
feel like I grew up through that process, but I don't think people realize that when you come to Canada, you have to start at that again.
Mhm.
And so I always, whenever I meet anybody that's bagging my stuff or from another country, I'm always interested to think like, so what's your degree in? Like, where is your real root of what your education is? And
I was so excited last week. I had some car trouble, and I was so excited I got to take 3 Ubers that day, and I knew I would have some great conversations,
Yes.
and they never let me down. They are amazing. I usually end up trading email with them, to tell you the truth, because they
there's something you can help with.
yeah, actually one guy said to me, "I want to help you. I'd like to give you some money," but I never did hit him up for it, but I thought it was pretty sweet of him to offer. And and another guy last on the Uber, he wanted to bring his sister over from Afghanistan, which is pretty important. He said she can't do anything there, can't even leave the house. So
Without a mail or kind
yeah,
of thing.
so I would love. She can't go to school, and she was a university student. So yeah,
Because there was that period where they had all the help and allowed women back
Yes.
into society.
and then the Taliban took it all
Could you
back.
imagine? I
Yeah.
read a few books about Afghanistan living through
Oh.
that whole period, and it was very like, what? Like, I
Yeah.
can't believe what?
I know. So this guy, he wants to bring his sister over, and he knows he
Yes.
needs lots of money. My ultimate goal is to one day have the Barb Ryan Foundation in aid of refugees, and then I would fundraise with my board of directors and have, you can be on it.
I want to, please.
And we would have a pot of money, whether it's big enough to buy soccer cleats for somebody that kid wants to play
Yes.
soccer, or whether we could pay university tuition, or whether we could eventually bring somebody over like this guy who needs probably $30,000 to
Yeah.
bring his sister over, and he doesn't have that kind of money, but
and a job. Like
Yeah.
it's just so hard. And then we get people with a lot of money who buy a business and can come over right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's craziness.
I think there's some people kind of tricking the system a bit too, I think, but that's another story. But
Yeah.
for Mazyad and his family, I would love to get him a job offer. Then he could come and start a new life here in a warm house with money and with food
and help people back home.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it just doesn't, like, I find like it's not just that one house.
Yeah.
It spreads.
Some people criticize that and say, well, they're making money here and then they're sending it back home. But well, what would you do?
Yeah, of course.
You're here. I mean, you just
and your family can't have food?
Yeah,
like,
and they're
of
still paying
course you
taxes
would.
here, and they're still renting, and they're still buying food here. They're just doing a lot, but they can make a dollar stretch way more than I ever could.
Of
I
course,
tell ya.
yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, it really is. But yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed
What a
it
great
all.
way to spend your time.
Yeah, great retirement.
Okay, I want to ask another question, and
Okay.
off topic. You brought up your son, so I feel like it's fair game that I can ask a couple questions. So your son, my hubby is a big 49ers fan. Sorry.
Oh,
like
sorry
big.
for him.
He was very happy. This last night, he was just freaking out because they're going to the.
Oh, that's right. I thought they were
Super
going
Bowl.
to lose for a while there, and I was thinking they'd lost, but no, they're going. Yeah, I
They're
used to-
going. He was very happy.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Well, but what my question is how do you raise a son that gets to the NFL? Is there any tips, secrets for us moms? Like, that's pretty incredible to have a son doing
Yeah.
something at that
Yeah,
caliber.
he wasn't a huge kid. Like some people think, oh, if they're not 6'4" and 250 pounds by the time they're a teenager. But he wasn't a huge kid. He did choose a position that you don't have to be huge in, maybe a punter. But he had a work ethic like I have. I have 4 kids and they're all like this. They're all like entrepreneurial spirit from the time they're selling rocks to the neighbors, selling their artwork to
Love
the
it.
neighbors, putting on shows. Like they always were doing something to raise money. It was unbelievable. John set up a little candy stand in the driveway in the spring and sold his Halloween candy to his friends for a good buck.
That's a pretty smart kid, if you ask me.
He was
Good
always
examples.
doing things like that, always, and a work ethic in another way too, of just never tiring. Of he would play football on any team we could get him on, but he would also play with his friends out in the street, and he loved playing with a couple big boys across the street because they were rough and they were played hard on him. He liked that. Like he didn't like that anybody go soft on him, and he always says they're the reason he's in the NFL, but. Anyway, they played, and because he was a punter, he'd play until it was just him and his brother Steve, and eventually it would just be him. Everybody else had gone in, and the only thing he'd do is punt the ball. So he'd punt it.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
So that's
sometimes
how
he
I
would
got
punt
that.
it and catch his own punts, but or punt
Wow.
6 balls to the one end of the street and then go down and
Run,
kick,
run, run, run,
yeah,
run.
and then kick him the other way. But he'd go to the playground, he'd kick and kick and kick. It's probably safe to say he's kicked millions of times.
That's so
He
cool.
started when he was 7 years old.
So he did his 10,000 hours, as they say, to become
Yeah,
that expert.
Yeah, but that spirit, I don't know if you could make a kid do that because we really didn't at all. Like it was just in him. Like he was born with real fire in his belly to make a go of this.
Well, you probably drove a lot.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did. And yeah, I guess you do have to have parents behind you because you got
Or
to
a
put
mama.
them in.
You
Yeah,
know? Like
Gotta-
what you're doing for others, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, my husband used to drive them to practice, and when they're playing on the Rams, both my sons played on the Rams, John and Steve, and he would watch every practice. He'd travel to every game. Sometimes I would go, but I wasn't quite as into it as he was. But we had 2 girls that were ballet dancers, so I kind of preferred that a little bit. But yeah, but he loved the football too. But yeah, it was. It's just a fire in the belly that some kids have, and I mean, not very many do go to the NFL. But the thing with John is that I never lost faith. I just always assumed that he would. I never doubted it. And when I look back at that, well, that's pretty ridiculous because it's a 1 in millions chance. He's the only kid in Saskatchewan that I think ever made it. But, he just wanted it that badly. And I just always believed in my kids. I just thought that he was good enough to do it. And sure enough, he was.
So you believed in him.
I really did.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's retired and living the good life in Los Angeles. He's loving it. And
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, you gotta go visit in the winter.
I just got back.
Smart lady.
His wife Sarah is an entertainer. She's written a few New York Times bestsellers, but she's also a comedian. She travels all over the country, all over the U.S. Doing shows and
Fun.
yeah. And sometimes he goes with her. Sometimes he even opens for her, which is pretty He's got more confidence now than I think he ever had. But to imagine going out on stage and being a comedian, but he's pretty funny. And yeah, they go to Mexico and live in Los Angeles and have a pretty nice life.
Take their mama around.
Yeah, I had a great time. And then he's into baseball now. He's bought some baseball teams, not big league teams, of course. You have to be a billionaire for that.
Yeah.
But he's bought one team in Ohio that's just one notch down. They feed the big leagues, and he's bought one team called the Portland Pickles that are kind of fun. They're wooden bat league, and they were struggling when he bought them, and I don't know, he just had a way of bringing back baseball to be fun and for families to go. And he has little events, like one night they had a tackle the NFL player, and all these little kids lined up in the break to tackle an NFL player. Bobblehead night. They sell great food and really awesome t-shirts and ball caps. He makes a good buck selling all those.
Maybe the riders need to make notes so that we can get some more bucks for that.
Yeah, the riders need to fill those seats.
Yes.
And make tickets cheap enough that people can go and take their families.
Exactly.
Not that many people have $300 to go to a rider game and buy a hot dog for the kids. You know, it's expensive.
And I remember my dad would take us to Taylor Field, and they had like the kids' day where you would get like a hot dog and a drink.
Probably saw you there. I don't know when you were born, but I used to wait in line. The boys
81, so maybe, right?
Yeah, the boys would want everybody's autograph.
Yes.
They would wait at and they even waited for the cheerleaders' autographs.
Oh yes, of course. My girls are dancers too.
Oh, they called it Camera Day, and it was a big deal. But yeah, they
do that anymore? I don't hear people talking about it. I hope that they bring that back.
Maybe we just need to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more affordable. Maybe that's easy for me to say. It's hard to run an organization.
But if you fill it multiple times instead
you have 10,000 empty seats.
Yeah, and if you keep on doing it again and again.
Even for the Rams, I wish John could help. I wish we could figure out a way to get more people out to the Rams games too. I don't know if they need to play on their own field or what, but it would be nice if they could get more of the students out to the games. Like I was just in the States and seeing the high school football stadiums.
They're bigger. I know.
I mean, they more than any CFL team could dream of come out to a high school game, let alone a college team.
It's something else.
Yeah, and I remember when the boys played on the Rams, there was like 3,000 people, 5,000 if it was a really good game.
Yeah.
So it's too bad because there's a lot to be said for the community spirit.
I was just thinking the community.
Spirit. Yeah.
I think people do it with hockey a lot here.
Yeah, maybe more so. Yeah, especially when, was it Connor Bedard? What was his name?
Pat's guy.
Yeah, Pat's guy was really good and made it to the big leagues, and he's doing well there too. So they brought out a lot of fans, and hopefully some of them are still coming out.
Yes, I'm happy that, like, those are the things that I think COVID kind of slowed down a lot. So I really want us to get these things going again so that my kids can have some fun. My kids are 8 and 10. So they were in that, like, window of boringness when they could have been doing stuff. And so they don't really get. So now when I'm locking them out to stuff, I'm like, this was normal stuff we always did growing up, right?
Yeah,
they missed a few years.
It seemed forever to them, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
My one daughter's got 5 kids, and the other 4, my son has 3, and that homeschooling thing was not too much fun.
Oh, no. I'm not surprised as many divorces happened as they did.
I remember one day my daughter Jill, she has 5 kids. She was homeschooling them all. Mind you, she's a teacher, but still. And one day, one of the girls' assignments was to bake bread, which is not exactly what you want to do when you got 4 of this.
No.
And then she used the wrong kind of yeast, and then she had to start again. So she was not in a good mood that day.
No, it's not. We're not meant to teach our kids. Like, we're not supposed to be teacher and mom. It just doesn't work.
No, it's not. It's not easy to be a teacher in a proper setting.
With how many students nowadays?
Too many, apparently, so I hope they get what they want.
Definitely. My kids have missed so much school, I feel like. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it is. I heard that there's not good reading skills right now, and
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Maybe we don't want to go to a doctor that was who lived through those days. Not as
It's true. It's craziness. I'm just really happy that things are going up. I see it continuing.
Yeah.
We have, like, great things ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing what you're doing for the community and, like, maybe suggesting ways that others can get involved too.
Yeah. Anybody has any job offers for my poor friend, let us know in some way through you, I
guess.
Yes,
feel free. If you guys look on my CJTR website, on my shows thing, you can click on it and it'll take you to my email.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thanks so much. You take care.